Hello and welcome to library class. It's really good to see you. This week we are going to take a look at... What's that noise, Library Lion? Do you know what that is? No. It's Library Unicorn. We don't get to see her very often because she's really shy. I sometimes see a glimpse of you behind the bookcases, don't I? But not much more. Did you know we were going to talk about unicorns this week? Is that why you came? Oh my goodness, thank you so much. Well, I imagine you want to get back behind the bookcase, don't you? Off you go then, but thank you so much for coming to visit. How lucky we got to see Library Unicorn. My goodness. I was indeed just about to say we're going to look at unicorns this week because I know there's a lot of unicorn fans in the class. Me too. I like imagining unicorns running around in the world. As you know though, unicorns are mythical creatures. That means they're not found in nature. But happily for us unicorn fans, they are found in paintings, sculptures, TV shows, cartoons and films. And of course, we can find unicorns in books and stories. And you know, Library Line, we have a lot of unicorn books and stories in the library, which when the library opens, you guys, of course, can borrow. I think you're going to love them. Actually, that reminds me, Library Line, we're going to read my favourite unicorn story ever today. Would you mind going to have a look in your Library Line library to see if you can find it? I'll tell you what it is. Do you remember that one? You do? Thank you so much. All right, I'll see you later. Bye-bye. Unicorns have been appearing in stories for many hundreds of years. And hundreds of years ago, before many people had travelled far, and way before people could check facts in books or the internet, a lot of people believed that unicorns were real. So, where did the idea that unicorns were real come from? Well, some think that when people living outside Africa or Asia heard about this animal for the first time, the rhinoceros, which is only found in Africa or Asia and is a four-legged animal with a horn on its head, and remember, this is before people could take photographs, they imagined it being like a four-legged animal they already knew, a horse, and imagined the horn from the description of the strange animal being on top of the horse's head instead, thus creating a unicorn. It's also possible these ideas got mixed up with another animal. An animal I think is almost as magical as a unicorn, and it's an animal that's real. It's the narwhal. These creatures are incredible, and what do you notice apparently sticking out from the front there? A tusk that looks very like a unicorn horn. Now, let's see what we can find out about narwhals. Let's go to World Book. Okay. Here we are. A narwhal is a whale known for its long tusk. Wait a minute. What is the difference between a horn and a tusk? Well, horns that grow out of an animal's head are made of keratin. That's the stuff that makes our nails and what hair we might have, and also hooves. Tusks, though, are, believe it or not, giant teeth. That's right. An elephant's tusks are giant teeth. Imagine going to the dentist if you had tusks. Anyway, let's go back to the narwhal. So that tusk is in fact a giant tooth coming out of its mouth. Nobody's totally sure what they use it for, but World Book tells us that scientists think they might use it to show off to female narwhals because it's mostly the male narwhals that have it. Or perhaps they use it to find their way around. It isn't used to spear fish to eat because it would just get stuck on the end. But some scientists have seen narwhals using the horn to knock fish so that they're easier to grab and eat for their lunch. The unicorn connection comes from the fact that narwhal tusks do wash up on beaches from time to time. So a long time ago, somebody finding one of these tusks and not knowing about narwhals might think instead that it meant that unicorns were real. Sometimes people who knew that they were really narwhal tusks would pretend that they were unicorn horns so they could sell them to rich people. Many believed that unicorn horns had magical powers, that they could cure illnesses or protect you from poison. They would pay a huge amount of money if they thought you had a unicorn horn to sell. The king of Denmark even had a throne built out of unicorn horns. Although, as you imagine, what he actually had was a throne built out of narwhal tusks. You can still see it to this day. Oh, wait a minute. I think I hear Library Lion coming with the book. Is that you, Library Lion? Oh, hello, Library Lion. Thank you for bringing it. This is great. It's called Not Quite Narwhal, and it's by Jessie Sima. Library Lion, thank you for fetching the book. That was really nice of you. Now, do you want to go and lie down and enjoy the story? Okay, I'll see you in a little bit. Bye-bye. Not Quite Narwhal by Jessie Sima. Kelp was born deep in the ocean. He knew early on that he was different from the other narwhals. His tusk wasn't as long as everyone else's. He had different tastes in food, and he wasn't a very good swimmer. But his friends didn't seem to mind, so Kelp decided he wouldn't either. That is, until he was swept away by a strong current. I wish I were a better swimmer. Kelp found himself at the surface, closer to land than he'd ever been before. High up on a cliff, he spotted a mysterious, sparkling creature. It looked so familiar. It looked like kelp. Kelp swam towards land as fast as he could, which wasn't very fast at all, hoping that he could catch up with the creature that looked just like him. When he finally reached the shore, Kelp felt a little bit anxious. He had never left the ocean. He was nervous about walking for the first time, but the land creatures made it look so easy. It wasn't. Oof! Ow! Eventually, he got the hang of it. Everything on land was strange and beautiful, but also kind of scary. Kelp began to think he might never find a creature that looked just like him. But as he stumbled out of the forest, land narwhals! Actually, we're unicorns, and by the looks of it, so are you. Kelp had never heard of unicorns before. They taught him all kinds of new things about his tusk. We call them horns. Wow! They introduced him to unicorn delicacies, and they showed him how to gallop. There was no doubt that Kelp was, in fact, a unicorn. He was having so much fun that he didn't want to leave. But then he remembered all of his friends under the sea. Kelp missed them terribly, so he said goodbye to the unicorns and returned to the ocean. Come back soon! Kelp swam toward home as fast as he could, which wasn't very fast at all, hoping that the narwhals would still like him now that he was a unicorn. When he finally arrived, Kelp had butterflies in his stomach. Welcome home. Kelp! Kelp took a deep breath and told his friends the news. It turns out I'm not a narwhal. Of course you aren't. I'm a unicorn. We all knew that. They took it quite well. Kelp was happy to be home, but now that he'd experienced life on land with the unicorns, he couldn't seem to forget them. Did he want to be a land narwhal with the unicorns, or a sea unicorn with the narwhals? Kelp couldn't decide. But then he realized that maybe, just maybe, he didn't have to choose.
I'm a unicorn.
And that is the end of the story. I hope you enjoyed it. It genuinely is one of my favourite stories. Now it's time to say goodbye. It's the end of library class. Keep discovering. Oh, Library Lion's here. Hello, Library Lion. Keep discovering, keep exploring, stay safe, and I will see you soon. Until the next time. Bye-bye. Oh my goodness. It's Library Unicorn. Hello, Library Unicorn. You've got your Bible caught in my shirt. Never mind. All right. I can't get the staff. That's a problem. Huh? You told me you were a trained unicorn. Okay, all right. Ready?